All right, today we got something real special showing up.
Well, well, well.
It's a crutch car, so you caught me saying that?
I'll edit it out, don't worry. I'm good at remembering to do that.
Yeah, I know. Said if you find anything else that needs a little work, he said, let me know.
All right, watch out, Max. Let's hear that 408. That thing looks fucking good, dude.
Jesus Christ.
Right there's good. Good Lord.
Said he's having a problem with it, like just losing all throttle. And it just sat there and idle, but wouldn't do anything because drive-by-wire instead of drive-by cable.
Yeah, I hate drive-by-wire.
Under the matrix and nothing's hooked up. All wires are just cut. Yeah, I'd get blankets and lay up and over the body.
I'm gonna get a bunch of saran wrap and cover everything.
Work on it naked.
I always do.
All right, so we got ourselves a Donk at the shop.
This thing is so freaking gnarly, dude. It's a 408 LS, 72 or 73 Caprice. So we're freaking legit there. 26-inch Forgiatos all the way around with the matching steering wheel. Perfect stance, dude. Like, it tucks perfectly. I love it.
The thing that's really amusing about this is for the past like 2 months I've been talking about how I've been appreciating donks lately, and then this shows up. So this is perfect for me because I'll get to kind of get this little bug out of my system. Obviously it's not mine, but what we're doing with it is we're completely converting it over to Holley Terminator X Max. So that's what this is. I noticed this drive-by-wire. I'm hoping it's still 24X, otherwise we might be in a little bit of a pickle there. I'm not sure what the year changes are, so we'll have to mess around with that. Regardless, once we get it completely converted over to the TX system, that's all self-learning, so I'm just gonna have to get it all hooked up, put in the parameters of the engine, like displacement, 408, cam, whatever it is. He's gonna be getting a hold of me and letting me know the specs on everything. And then that'll put together a bass tune, and from there it's all self-learning, so I am going to unfortunately have to put at least a few miles on this thing. Which sounds like fun, but in something with $10,000 wheels is absolutely terrifying, to be honest. So the first couple things I'm gonna do is turn it around and back it in here because there'll be much more space to work with everything up here. And I said anything else kind of stupid that I find in here that needs to be fixed, go ahead and do that and that'll be fine. So there are a few things that are kind of dumb that if I have the time, I'll address it because they want this car back by Friday and it's Wednesday right now. So I'm not gonna go through every little system and get it all show car ready, but we are going to try to clean up some things and just make it look nice. Because right now it has a cut down stock ECU. You can see where some of the wires are zip tied. The computer is just sitting here, which, I mean, if you're gonna take the time to do this nice of a car, obviously you're not gonna want stuff like that just half-assed, so. They said they're cool with the ECU staying in the engine bay just as long as, you know, for the most part, as long as it looks good, doesn't look dumb. The only thing that needs to be in there is obviously just the touchscreen dash. So they want it back in just a couple days, so let's quit yapping and start.
looks like one thing we're definitely gonna have to address is this leaky transmission. Looks like it could just be a line. All right, got this bench all cleaned off so I can dedicate it just to the parts for the Caprice here. And let's see what's in this Terminator X box. Looks like LCD display. Yep, okay. This is all, should be labeled. This is one, so in case you're curious, that's one. All right, this says Holley ECU. See, no, this is supposed to be brand new, but I don't know why it has that like painter's tape on it. There's the Terminator X Max ECU, vacuum port for the internal map sensor. All right, next up is also one. This looks like the injector harness. Okay, and this should all be the main engine harness. All right, so far so simple. What else do we got? That oxygen sensor adapter. Terminator X multi-port fuel injection system. Multi-port fuel injection system. Okay, cool. This is a drive-by-wire harness. We're gonna need that. This is a 4L60, 4L80 trans harness. We are not going to need this, because this has a Turbo 400 in it. Sweet. Drive-by-wire do's and don'ts. Do, drive-by-wire. Don't, drive-by-cable. Do, use only the Holley supplied harness. Have the pedal, throttle body, and harness installed by a competent professional. Alright, I'm going to read this manual a little bit more just to get more familiar with it, and then we'll start yanking the old shit out and throwing this in. So we've already hit our first roadblock with this. At first we thought that the nitrous wasn't like wired up. I found the wires, they just pulled right out of these crimp connectors. Like they just pulled right out. And then they've got half of it running through the intake, the rest of it was on the outside. This fuel line in the front, instead of cutting it and doing it straight across like you normally would if you're not a jackass, they have like 2 feet of it going in there and then looping back around up here. It's like, come on guys. And then the vent, you can't see that, the vent for the valley cover there and the vent for the valve cover here. Right, where is it? Right there, they have those but both just open to atmosphere, which is fine as long as you have a filter on the end of it. Otherwise, you're just like, just raw dirt and shit can get in there. Last time I checked, you don't want just pure unfiltered dirt in your engine. Then they've got so many of just the same color wire. Like there's so much of this like blue, and I don't, oh my god, dude. It's giving me so much anxiety. So I'm at the point now where I've got to disconnect the nitrous. Really? This is just finger tight. Okay. Well, I'm at the point now where I had to disconnect the nitrous lines, and then I can pull the intake off and finish pulling out this factory harness. Okay, hold on. So I was pulling this thing apart so I could pull the intake off, right? We talked about that. When I was about to disconnect the fuel line, can you see that thing? Yeah. That line is almost completely pinched off. I cannot believe it even ran like that. So, obviously gonna have to fix that. That's not good. So I might have a fitting laying around. This is just, oof. Okay. This car just keeps getting better and better. I got it lifted up to look at underneath and check over some things. First of all, I learned how they extended the arms for the rear end for the lift. That was just by like cutting them and welding in these blocks on tops and bottoms. They seem like good welds, so, and they did them on the, well, a little bit on the inside too. To be honest, I wouldn't worry about those. And then I noticed that this feed line is a -6, which is pretty small for a 408 on 2 kits of nitrous. And then another thing that I noticed, the exhaust has no O2 sensors in it. And this is fuel injected. Interesting. I mean, it's got the bung here, it was just plugged, but they completely cut it off this side. Unless it's on top. No, did they? I think they missed a complete section up here. Starters. Whew. Those are mushroomed, dude. So I got the intake and everything off, somehow managed to wrestle that thing out of here. Like, look how far. That is an entire arm's length. And it's like that on all sides. It was such a pain in the ass with those stupid fucking studs to get that thing out of here. But somehow I did it without destroying the car. And that's when I learned that it has, where'd it go? Right here. It has a front cam sensor. Now, typically, that doesn't matter. However, in this case, it matters because of that right there. That's a 24 tooth reluctor wheel. Now, I don't know if every front cam sensor LS is a 58 tooth, but I got a feeling that most of them are. The only way to know for sure is to lift the car up. Might have to pull the starter off and look at the crank sensor. If I remember right, if it's black, it's a 24 tooth, and if it's gray, it's a 58 tooth. That might be backwards, so don't quote me on that. That could put a complete hold on this. So let me get it lifted up and we'll find out. All right, let's see if we can see what we see. All right, it's black. So we might be good. Also, that starter bolt right there is just sticking out a ways. Alright, so I've got the harness laid out. And it would fit aside from the cam sensor being up front. That's the part that's kind of fucking things up. So I'm gonna have to make a little extension harness for it, because if anything goes wrong and I cut and extended this harness, I'm sure Holley will be like, sorry bud, you're out of luck. So aside from all the loose wires for the nitrous system over here, ignore all that. Everything else is looking super clean. Like, look at that. I mean, there's a little bit at the firewall, but for the most part, it's looking really good. There we go, now you guys can see. Everything's looking pretty good. All that stuff for like a manual throttle body, that'll all get hidden. Over here, we're looking real good too. Got the ECU mounted on the firewall. Everything's looking good. Got the main power wires running behind this fender over to the battery right here. Nice and clean, how it should be. Like, I don't know if you guys remember the rat's nest that was hanging out over here, but this looks so much better. However, we do still have one problem. This is the wrong throttle body. This is a 6-pin connector, and that's an 8-pin throttle body, so there's, you know, that ain't gonna work. It needs a connector that looks like this. Now, sure, I could repin it and make it work. I'd have to tap into some wires for the other two, because this one, I don't remember if it uses 2 power sources or 2 grounds for each individual thing. So I'd have to tap into it, and it would, like, it's doable if he absolutely needs the car running tonight, because the plan was for him to pick it up tonight and he was going to take it to Atlanta for a show and try and sell it. So to me, if you're going to try and sell it, you don't want it to look like complete fucking ass. And we've just run into a bunch of little issues with this car, just because wrong parts. Bought this little extension harness yesterday, and waited like 3 hours for that to show up, and it was the wrong fucking piece. So I ended up having to cut and extend it, which, I mean, it looks fine. It's just the point that this is what happens when you try to rush things like this. He dropped it off Wednesday evening, it's Friday morning, and as of right now, it's still doable, but there's such a slim chance of us getting it done and running and driving and tuned enough for time to leave for Atlanta tonight. I didn't want to hook the switch 12 volt to that ignition switch, but the old distributor wire didn't have any power, so just to get it done, that's the way I did it. It's the way it was done, so we're fine with it. So I'm gonna check some things over a couple more times just to be sure, but I think this thing's ready to go back to someone who's not me. I'm sick of seeing this thing. This was supposed to be like a day and a half conversion, and it was just gremlin after gremlin after gremlin. I mean, there was the loose starter, loose converter bolts, the engine doesn't have a dipstick in it, there's so many things. But we're good. She's done. Get it out of here, man. So, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching. Thank you for liking, commenting, and subscribing. We'll see you next time.